Hello, my wizard friends. Today I will show you how to put a crystal on your wizard staff.
Occasionally I'll use crystals on the tops of the staves for some of my figures. It is a pretty easy piece to make. You just need a crystal, you need a wooden dowel and some Magic Sculpt to attach the two. So I'm going to make one of these, and then I'll talk a little bit how I painted this. It's just a lot of dry brushing with some iridescent gold and some interference purple. For this video I'm going to make another staff using this amethyst crystal, and then I will make another staff using one of these little aragonite clusters right here. So the first thing I do is get the height that I want and basically just cut the wooden dowel right where it meets the stone. I'm going to be sculpting this with these two tools right here. One is a dental tool, one is a ceramic wooden sculpting tool. Both of these tools have these nice flat kind of spatulate shapes here that I will be using to try and create like a hammered metal texture. I'm using a product called Magic Sculpt to attach the crystal to the wooden dowel. Magic Sculpt is a two-part epoxy resin made by a company called Douglas & Sturgis, specifically for artists. I highly recommend it. So I'm taking two little balls, equal parts of part A and part B, mixing it together really well, and then I'm just going to let it sit for 10 to 15 minutes. When it's first mixed, it could be really soft and really sticky, so I just want it to be a little bit more firm before I start sculpting with it. So I roll out a little snake-shaped piece and just start spiraling it down around the crystal. And then with the tools, I'll just try to follow that shape and try to create a look and a texture that's similar to a forged metal or a hammered steel. And you can see I'm always dipping my tools and my fingers in a little cup of water. When you add water to the Magic Sculpt, it almost turns it into the consistency of a water clay, so it's really easy to push around and manipulate. I also like to twist it and pull it a little bit to give it a little bit more of an organic look. And after I get a shape that I'm happy with, I'm going to set it aside and let it harden for a little bit longer. The aragonite crystal is a little bit different. I can't really wrap the clay around it, but it does have all these tiny little crevices that I can use to push the Magic Sculpt into it. And the Magic Sculpt is a super strong and durable product, so as long as it has something to kind of grip onto, it's not going to come off. So I just make sure that it's really firmly pushed in, and then I do the exact same thing as the last staff with the tools. Just kind of create that texture, spin it, twist it, make some facets on it, and then again, once I get something that I'm happy with, I'm going to set it aside and let it harden a little bit longer. So about 20 minutes later, I come back and I revisit the pieces. The clay is a little bit harder, so I can really start to kind of fine-tune the shape and some of the details. So a little more work on the piece, and then I'll set it aside to harden a little bit more. And this time I'll let it sit for about another 60 minutes. So at this point, it's hardened for about 90 minutes since I started mixing it. And this is a great point to carve in some of the final detail. Here I like to come in with an X-Acto knife and cut out some more defined facets. And it's also soft enough where I could take the wooden paddle and really push in some flat areas as well. I also like to do a little cleanup and a little trimming right where the Magic Sculpt and crystal meet. Then I'll set it aside for another 30 minutes, and at this point, at the 2-hour mark, this is where I will do the final adjustment with the staff. This is kind of an important step right here. I really need to make sure that the staff and the crystal line up straight when looking at it 360 degrees. The last little bit of sculpting is done with different sized files. And here I'm just kind of defining some of the facets a little bit more, giving them some sharper edges and some flatter planes. And this filing's done after I've let it sit overnight, so it is completely set and super hard. Then I clean the crystal with a little bit of denatured alcohol. This just removes any film that might be left over from the Magic Sculpt. And then I'll spray the Magic Sculpt in the wooden staff with a black primer. The primer gives a uniform base to paint on, and it also helps prevent the wooden staff from scuffing and chipping when it goes in and out of the figure's hand. I go over the whole thing with the Mars Black, and this is really just to get rid of that spray painted look as well as fill in any little spots that the spray paint didn't hit. Then I'll dry brush some titanium white on top of that. Dry brushing just means that there's very little paint on the brush, and I'm really just kind of dusting the brush across the surface. And this is just a really simple technique to emphasize the texture and create shadows in the recessed areas that don't get any of the highlights. Next I'll dry brush a little iridescent gold on the Magic Sculpt, and I'll also lightly hit the crystal a bit just to kind of start blending everything together. And then I'll finish it with a little dry brushing of this interference green and violet. These interference colors are similar to iridescence, but they interfere with the light spectrum in a way that you can only see them when the light hits them at certain angles. I'm using mostly the violet here to match the crystal, and then just a really light dusting of the green to match the color of the figure. And then with the Argonite crystal, I am doing the red and orange interference, mainly because those are the colors that most closely match the crystal and the figure. So here's what the finished amethyst staff looks like. And here's the finished Argonite cluster staff. If you'd like to watch a video where I talk more about using Magic Sculpt, you could click on the link in the top right here. Otherwise, thanks for watching. I will see you next time.
Hello, my wizard friends. Hello. Hello. Stop that train. Hello. Hello. Hello, my wizard friends.
Don't panic, don't jump me, don't stop the just rap. Don't panic, don't jump me, don't stop the just rap. Don't panic, don't jump me.